If you've clicked on this video, then I'm willing to bet that you are on the verge of seeing your six-pack for the very first time. I'm assuming that you've already lost a decent amount of weight and that you have the basics down. You've dialed in a solid routine that's been working for the last few months, but all of a sudden the fat loss stopped and you're not making any more progress. You've tried lowering the calories and increasing the cardio, the fat still isn't coming off. You feel like if you push even further, you're just gonna feel like you're suffering and it's gonna make it not even feel worth it. I know that feeling because I've been there. Being on the verge of having your abs to show, but feeling like you're already suffering. I know the struggles, but let me tell you, it is so worth it. Because I remember that feeling of finally getting my abs to show for the very first time, and there was nothing like it. It was honestly a better feeling than graduating college, getting my own place, or whatever. A set of abs is something only 7 to 8% of men have. And achieving a six-pack means that you have accomplished something that 92% of men haven't. When I first got my six-pack to show, I didn't know about this statistic at all. But if I knew about this back then, it would have made my desire to get a six-pack substantially higher. Anyway, so what do you do if you hit a fat loss plateau and pushing harder isn't necessarily the best idea because you're already in a tough situation? Well, I have some good news and some bad news for you. The good news is that you may or may not need to push any farther. However, the bad news is it's probably going to take a lot longer than you expect. So let me explain the first part. Do you really not have to push anymore to get your six-pack to show? Well, there's two scenarios here. People who will have to push farther and people who won't. Let me explain. The people who should push a little bit more are the ones that have been losing weight too slow this entire time. Say, for example, you're 50 pounds overweight and you've only been losing about half a pound a week, and then you hit a plateau. Then you definitely need to push more because 50 pounds overweight is pretty substantial, I would say. So if you're 50 pounds overweight or somewhere around that 30 to 50 pounds overweight, then you really need to lose probably about a pound to half a pound a week. I'm all for making the process very gradual and slow, but it can get to the point where it's too slow and you really just need to push more. So if you're in that situation, then the answer is pretty obvious. Yes, you could either decrease the calories more or increase the cardio. So let's talk about the other individuals, the ones that don't need to push, the ones that don't need to decrease the calories anymore or increase the cardio anymore. These are the people who did a crash diet and we're losing 4 to 5 pounds a week. If this is you, then pay close attention because this mistake is very common. And I've corrected this mistake for countless people in the past, so I know this approach is gonna work for you as well. So if you crash diet for a few weeks and lose weight super fast, you are also gonna crash your metabolism. For some people, I've seen it get to the point where they're doing more than an hour and a half of cardio a day and only eating around 1,700 calories and they're not losing any weight, even though they're still about 10 pounds overweight. So what do you do if you've crash dieted and you're suffering because you completely fucked up your metabolism? Well, the answer is not going to be push more because that's just going to be digging you down into a deeper hole. It's actually take a step back. It can't be a massive step backwards, otherwise you're just going to end up where you started and you'll gain all the weight back. So what you want to do is increase the calories slightly and decrease the calories a bit so you're eating at about maintenance level. This is going to help readjust your metabolism without gaining a whole lot of weight back. Sure, you're probably gaining a couple pounds back, but just know that's a step in the process. So once you start eating at maintenance again and kind of taking a diet break, I would say, then you should be primed again to start pushing more. For most people, it really only takes 6 to 8 weeks of eating at maintenance levels to correct your metabolism. For some people, it can be longer and some people it can be less. It just depends on how bad you fucked up your metabolism. But really, it's the only choice you have because if you push further, you're just going to be suffering even more, feeling even more lethargic, and the weight is still not going to be coming off. But once you fix your metabolism, you'll be able to push farther and lose that last little bit of body fat. It's a tough reality for some of you to accept because you work so hard to get that weight off. And then if you're gonna add a couple pounds, it's a tough pill to swallow, I get it. But you have to accept that you dug yourself into this hole and this is the only way you're gonna get yourself out. It's gonna be mentally hard to see that scale move up, but I promise it's gonna be so worth it. It's taking 1 to 2 steps backwards for 10 steps forward. So how do you know if your metabolism is actually fixed or not? Well, if you've been eating at maintenance for a while and you're not feeling hungry all the time, you're not feeling lethargic, you're not super fatigued, and your weight is staying the same. That's how you know you fixed your metabolism and it's time to push farther and lose that last little bit of body fat and get your abs to show for the very first time. However, once you fix your metabolism, you cannot do another crash diet. It has to be a gradual process this time. Otherwise, you are never gonna get your abs to show and you're never gonna have the body you want. Because if you do a crash diet, you're gonna have to do this process over and over again and never get to the physique you want. So this is how you overcome a fat loss plateau if you feel like you're already suffering. Fix your metabolism for a month or two and then start slowly decreasing the calories or increasing the cardio. Fix your metabolism by eating at maintenance and doing slightly less cardio for a month or two. Then once your metabolism is fixed, do a slow and steady process to lose that last little bit of body fat. So you absolutely need to implement this now if you want to get your six-pack to show by summer, because this is the perfect time. We got about 2 months till summer, and I'm sure you don't want to feel self-conscious about your body when you take off your shirt at the beach or at the pool or something.